Hello again everyone, it's me Maximus. Today we are talking about some artillery. Now, as a gunner myself, I always like to research and look into new styles and techniques of artillery warfare that we are trying to adapt in the modern day. There's new technology coming out all the time, whether it be rockets, projectiles, or just standard field artillery. Now, being a field artillery gunner on a towed howitzer, it can be really personal when someone comes and says, hey, you're useless, you have no requirement anymore. These new vehicles, this new technology is totally going to make your job redundant. Now, this is really not what this video today is about. It's more a specific as to a type of equipment or a type of technology that is potentially going to start replacing certain kinds of towed howitzers within the American military. Now, this is still a development stage. There's a lot of research and technology that needs to be adapted before they can start bringing these systems into place, and it's purely a trial system. But today we are going to talk about the Hawkeye howitzer system. Now, as you can see by these gunners firing away right now, they're having a lot of fun blasting rounds down range, but there's a lot more to it with this particular weapons platform because it opens up a rather large door as to what is going to happen with towed howitzers with this kind of technology coming into the light. Before I do go any further, I want to remind you all that I am not a subject matter expert, and this video is purely for entertainment and informative purposes only, not educational, and this opinion only comes from myself. So we have to take a step back and find out how we actually got here first. Why are we looking into wheeled artillery pieces instead of the standard towed or emplaced artillery such as the M777 or the M119? So on the February 14th, 2018, the American Army announced it will be studying its options for the next generation howitzers. Though there are no firm requirements as of yet, the new weapons would have to be at least portable and lightweight as the existing 105mm M119 and the 155mm M777 towed howitzers, which I have done a video on in the past if you wish to check it out. But hopefully have a lot better range and accuracy and be more mobile than some of the smaller mortar systems that exist on wheeled platforms today. However, the Army was clear it's just doing market research and is not actually looking to buy any new weapons at the moment. It added that it was looking for designs that could be ready sometime in the mid-2020s and wouldn't require an extended development cycle. Defense contractor Mandus Group has been working on a 105mm system called the Hawkeye that is a lightweight and low recoil enough system to fit onto smaller vehicles, including commercial pickup trucks, which could offer another option to other militaries. The Army has been trying to squeeze some 155mm like effects out of a 105mm cannon with extended range, precision-guided munitions, and very unlikely that the smaller bore weapon would ever have a truly comparable capability. But it's not hard to understand why the Army might be interested in a new, more mobile, lightweight artillery piece. Having this kind of firepower on call is immensely important for the Army's light infantry and striker units, especially when conducting independent operations where they might not have the guarantee of support from other services or even other elements within the Army. The Hawkeye howitzer system incorporates advances in protection, payload, suspension, and life cycle sustainment at a pretty affordable price to meet the unique expeditionary requirements of the global customers. One of the big things that's mentioned about this weapons platform in general is using the Humvee platform, which I have recently just done a video on. Of course, there's a million Humvees out there that can be utilised for this weapons platform, and that's maybe where we're going to start seeing the Humvees being put in place instead of being driven down roads in IED-infested countries, placing artillery units onto the back of these weapons that can actually then fire from long distance and be mobile at the same time. The Humvee is a pretty suitable platform for it, being it's a wide wheelbase and has a lot of ground clearance for it to actually stabilise the firepower brought upon the 105mm howitzer. The Hawkeye 105mm significantly raises the level of mobility, survivability and lethality capabilities for the light infantry units with airborne and air assault missions, which basically means that instead of having to tow and carry the gun behind you in a towed configuration like the M119, it will drive itself there without minimal amounts of extra crew needed to actually fire the gun. Easily transportable and delivering by sling load, airdrop and low velocity air deployment, the Hawkeye immediately increases readiness and combat power to the US military. This system also improves the manpower efficiency, as I mentioned, and has the compact logistics footprint that takes many advantages over some of the artillery that is already existing, which is reducing the need for training, extra parts to fix them up, and other types of things that a lot of people just don't think about when it comes to the artillery. You can have a great gun, you can have an amazing platform, but if you don't have the logistics and the supply to keep those guns firing, it's almost impossible. With the Humvee platforms, because there are so many out there, it does give the capability of having ammunition, the command post, all in one subsidiary unit. You would not need to have a multitude of different vehicles to operate these weapon systems. The system incorporates a soft recoil technology that reduces loads and the weight of stabilizing structures by as much as 50% compared to conventional recoil systems. The merging of the soft recoil 105mm weapon system with the iconic rugged and proven Humvee has resulted in a pretty dynamic platform that provides a lot faster firing and potentially even more accurate firing, but also maximizes that rapid deploy and redeploy shoot and scoot capability, with the crew half the size of the traditional towed artillery systems. The system differs from the traditional howitzer configurations, of course, which fire from fixed positions and recoil backwards. Instead, the Hawkeye incorporates the recoil technology that allows the vehicle to basically fire a lot softer rounds by preemptively placing recoil onto the barrel and then, as the round fires, adjusting accordingly to the pressures that it pushes. That development allows the user to shoot and scoot more effectively and rapidly without effect to the frame of the vehicle or the frame of the gun. In today's war space, it's becoming more and more apparent with artillery to be extremely mobile. Most modern counter-artillery fire can normally be expected within about 5 minutes at max, and with the introduction of weaponized drones, that time could obviously be even further reduced. It becomes extremely important to get to the position they need to fire from and then get out of there as quickly as you can, so you're not having rounds landing on you in return. Of course, I have had many discussions about this on my channel before, and I will be doing a discussion on counter-battery artillery fire sometime in the future. Based on the field testing of the Hawkeye, the estimated time from the movement of the vehicle to stopping and the moment it's fired ready to move is around 3 minutes with a highly trained crew. Stabilizers were added to the Humvee to further improve the 360-degree firing accuracy, and the soft recoil system eliminates the need for the howitzer to be dug in, such as the trails on the howitzer that I use, which is required for pretty much most traditional howitzers when you're placing the first round down range. Of course, the vehicle will still settle somewhat with suspension and digging in of the trails that it sets itself, however nowhere near as much as a towed artillery piece that only has wheel brakes and the trails themselves digging into the ground. In terms of game-changing artillery, this is really not quite it. There is the capability of it being very quick and mobile, but there is also disadvantages of using a vehicle that is a wheeled platform. Of course, just like any vehicle, if it breaks down, you're stuck with a vehicle that has a piece of artillery on the back that is very difficult to move. Of course, towed artillery isn't much different. If the gun needs to be moved, it takes a lot of manpower and effort to move it. However, in a towed platform, you have a large gun crew already, normally of about 6 to 7 members. If the configuration of a vehicle is given a smaller crew and it breaks down, there is no capability of you being able to manually push that piece of equipment around on wheels. Therefore, its own capability of being mobile is also its Achilles heel. If it does break down, you hope that you will have a mechanical crew ability to actually repair it, otherwise you're left with an artillery piece that isn't really going very far. Of course, working as a unit though, as you see in this particular footage right now, there's also going to be other vehicles to be able to tow you around, but this creates more problems. Being able to pull another vehicle around is putting additional strain on another vehicle, and therefore the recovery efforts are actually making more problems for mobility of that particular unit. The towed artillery doesn't really have much ability to actually counter any type of mobility denial, whether it be your vehicle breaks down with a piece of equipment on the back of it, or you're towing it, it still creates a bit of a problem. However, there is the capability of the crew being able to move towed howitzers a lot easier. Not a big deal, but something to think about. In my personal opinion, I do think this is probably going to be the future of artillery in general. Everything being wheeled, everything being moved very quickly, and the 360-degree capability is also quite important. I really don't think we're quite at the stage to say that these kind of platforms are going to be fully replacing towed artillery. There's a lot of military efforts and countries out there that have destined themselves to use towed artillery or emplaced artillery, but I do think there is the capacity for looking into options where these could work with towed artillery or fixed emplacement artillery. But as mentioned in the beginning of the video, the American Army for sure isn't quite there yet to make a commitment on pulling the trigger, so to speak, bringing these guns into action. I must admit, seeing them, it looks pretty impressive, and the data and the statistics and the features seem very, very apparent to be brilliant for the artillery, and I would love to be able to drive around in these things, scooting around, firing 105mm, and then bunching away again. But, you know, things aren't quite as simple as they seem with the artillery. You've got to think about a whole spectrum of other things that come along with using these kinds of equipment, such as logistics, the troops that you have available, and all sorts of different things that can be quite detrimental to using a piece of equipment like this on a wheeled vehicle. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As I mentioned before, not a subject matter expert, and I'm not a proficient gunner to say I know everything about guns and artillery, but it's nice to just talk a little bit about something that's more true to me and something I'm passionate about. As I mentioned, I would love to try this piece of equipment, but I don't think I'm ever going to see it in my lifetime. Everyone, thank you so much for watching today. If you did enjoy it, please leave me a like. Check out my Patreon page if you wish to support my channel. I really appreciate those who have been doing so. Thank you so much. I also have my Discord channel if you want to come just talk or hang out. And my Facebook, and everything below in terms of links is in the description box just below the main video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next time for another video. If you want to see another video, hit that little bell button, guys, so you can be notified next time. All the best. Bye-bye.